Today, my guest is Megan Dougherty, and Megan is super like professional and fancy. She is the co-founder and podcast host of on One Stone Creative, which is a podcast production agency. And she has a very cool podcast as well. I will let her talk to you about it, but we're going to talk other things as well as podcasting. But Megan, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. And Amy, thank you so much for having me. It is such a treat to, I mean, we've talked about podcasting in the past, and now I get to be here joining you talking about one of my other passions, sustainability. So what a treat. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who is listening.
Yay. And Megan, you live in Ottawa, is that correct?
Yeah, I live just outside of Ottawa, actually, on the Quebec side. So I live in Quebec, but that's the nearest big city. So close enough for science.
I just love that we're the same time zone. That's
right. What fun it is.
When I say 4:30, it actually means 4:30.
4:30. Yeah. Yeah. I had a call with someone this morning in Nairobi.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was like, I'm up at 9 a.m. on the call, and she's got 5 p.m. the end of her work day. It was a really good time.
It's bizarre talking to you from the future. I felt so bad. I had a lady that I interviewed not too long ago. She was in Germany, and we were trying to figure out what time, and it was a Saturday, and I was like, how about 4:00? And she's like, yeah, I can do 4:00. And then when I was talking to her, she's like, yeah, it's 10 p.m. Everyone else is in bed. I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. And she's like, that's okay. It's when I do my work. Okay. I still feel bad. But so you have this super fancy job. You are producing podcasts. You sound very fancy.
Well, thank you.
And you have interesting guests, which is excellent. But so you have this job, but then when you are done with work, you have so what caught my eye, that we were following someone on Instagram, on LinkedIn, sorry, and they were asking about what's your superpower outside of podcasting? And
shout out to Jeremy Enns with the great LinkedIn engagement.
Yeah. Yes, Jeremy Enns. And I can't remember what mine was, but then I saw yours, and you were like, I make great soap. And I'm like, sold. And you make a good pie crust. I'm like, let's talk. My goodness. But so you make soaps. What do you make? Do you make a particular kind of soaps? Because I know that there are lots of different soaps.
Definitely, and I'd call myself still quite an amateur when it comes to making soap. I always love making my own things. I love learning how things are made. So just kind of as a hobby, I like to try and create new things. And a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going to try soap. So I got all of the materials together, and I just started following recipes that I found online and used online calculators to come up with recipes. And I haven't gotten better at it really fast, because when you make soap, you tend to make a lot of soap.
Right. So you don't do it for months.
If I made it as often as I wanted to, I would be overrun. Like right now, I think we've still got something like 12 bars from the last time I made it last year. So, but just using different kinds of fats. I use a lot of coconut oil. Olive oil is really nice. I'm really excited to, in kind of the coming years, try using more animal fats, because I think that'll be really interesting. And sometimes, that comes up in the course of other hobbies. we have access to it. So just kind of the process. I think once you get used to, especially handling the lye, which is a fairly caustic chemical, and being afraid that you're going to poison yourself, once you're past that, it's actually just really fun. It's so cool how it comes together. The chemistry involved is really, really interesting. And I've only had one explosion so far. So
good. Explosion for real?
Honey apparently has to be added much later in the process than I added it. When you add things in making soap is as critical as what you're adding. So doing things at the right time in the right order. And I had put honey in my kind of starter liquid, and that caused a reaction where it kind of just bubbled up and flowed over the counter and turned this horrible blood red color.
Oh,
it was a little frightening, but everything was fine.
Oh, and it made okay soap.
Nope, that was a total failure batch. That one was discarded. But my favorite so far has been an aloe and coffee soap. So you can add in whatever you like. So I put in some coffee grounds and some aloe from an aloe plant that we had, and now it exfoliates and moisturizes, and it's my favorite bar.
At the same time, that's one-stop shopping.
Pretty good. Yeah. So I don't buy other soaps now, which is great. So we use it for everything, which is really, really nice.
Excellent. That's very cool. I met a lady on the podcast who she made a bear fat soap.
Cool.
And I bought some, and it's pretty cool. And then
awesome.
there's another lady that I met that has goats, and she wanted to try making goat milk soap, but she had never made soap before. So
yeah, I've got some goat milk soap in my cupboard right now. And it's not. I bought it at a farmer's market from someone. They brought a goat to the stall at the Christmas market. Like, of course you're gonna buy the soap.
You can't say
when
no
they
to the
have
goat.
A goat.
Don't you reject the goat?
They would let you hold the goat. It was wearing a little Santa hat. It was just
sad face and please buy our soap.
Goats are kind of horrifying, though. I think I never want to actually have goats.
I think I agree with that. I mean, the little ones are so darn cute when they're jumping all around and in their sweaters or jammies, but
oh yeah, but they're hellions. My partner, their mother had a pet goat when they were kids, and this kid would jump on the car to look in the house window and be like, "Hey, where's the activity? I'm not in it. Please let me in."
Right? Oh my goodness. I just saw there's a lost dog Facebook page in Maine, and there was somebody posted that there was a dog and a goat together that were lost, and they showed a picture of the two of them. Like, oh my gosh. And it said the dog clearly knew where it was going and the goat was just along for the adventure. I'm like, this is it. I don't know. Like, I would say it's only in Maine, but maybe elsewhere that stuff like that happens. But
I find Western Quebec and part of Ontario that abuts Maine, it's really culturally similar. I find.
Oh gosh. So all right. So Amy, back up. So you make your own soaps, Megan, and that saves you money, and you're using, you know exactly what's in it, which is amazing.
Well, I definitely know exactly what's in it. I'm not sure I don't know if I'm at a scale to save money yet, because I'm buying in everything used to make the soap. So the lye and the different fats and whatnot. I haven't actually done the math on it. But I kind of, for budgeting purposes, put this under hobby and good times budget anyway. So even if I'm not actually saving dollars, I would say I save money with other hobbies, which I'm sure we'll be getting to as we
100%. Okay, so maybe not money saving, but there's no packaging,
which is really nice. And it is great for gifts too, actually. So I'd probably save money on Christmas and holiday gifts, because I can just give people soap, which I know is really nice.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. And I mean, shoot, if you made a bunch of it, you could probably sell it to your neighbors, unless your neighbors are all doing it too.
Probably not. I live in kind of a suburb just outside of the city, so it's not quite like a rural area, although I've got neighbors who hunt, so occasionally we get some awesome wild game from them, and we trade them backyard eggs and things like that. So that's fun.
Bartering.
Love the bartering.
Very cool. And so you said you were trading eggs for game, which is cool. How many chickens do you have?
Currently 4. My city allows you to have up to 5 backyard chickens, so we started with 5 in the fall, and one did pass away over the winter. She was a bit old. My in-laws keep up the 70 chickens. They live on a farm out in the country. So when we're like, hey, we've got our chicken license, they said, well, come adopt some chickens. So we drove out with a big pet carrier, and we happened to pick an older one. So they don't cull their old birds. They let them all live out their natural retirement, which I think is really lovely. So, but yeah, so we named them after the Bennett sisters from Pride and Prejudice. And I
was just going to ask if they had names.
Yeah, they have a collective name. So I don't know which one is which. They're not pets to me, but so they're Jane was the oldest and died, and then there's Lizzie and Lydia and Kitty and the last one.
And then there's a last one. Okay.
I can never remember full list when I'm recording, of course.
Right. Well, but, and I assume that living in the suburbs, you're not allowed any roosters.
Definitely no roosters.
Yeah. So you have to pick no chicks. You can't pick
no
chicks.
No, we have.
I suppose you could bring them back. Eggs. Bring them back to your in-laws. I'm sorry.
We could. Yeah, they've got. We could. I like. It's nice. They produce eggs at a ridiculous rate. So we're getting, with 4 chickens, 3 or 4 eggs a day, which is kind of bananas. And talk about here's the sustainability. I love a chicken. A chicken takes garbage and turns it into delicious protein. It's amazing how they do it. So now we keep all of our scraps, and some, go to the broth bowl, but then others are like, delicious snacks for chickens.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, we have, I have to, well, ours are princesses. They're very diva-y. And I may have done that to them. But But if I can't just give them any scraps. Like people are
Oh
like,
no,
oh
they're
my
choosy.
scrap bucket, the herbs and the grass and the, no. They would just
what are
look
their
at
favorite
me and
snacks?
say, do you have any pasta? Or, cereal, oatmeal, anything, carbs. Can we
They're
have
into
some
the
carbs?
carbs. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, who's not really? But
Fair.
they
I do I did make them a little Christmas dinner with some couscous and like kale chopped up in it because that seemed like a nice thing to do. And they did love it, but mostly we just give them the veggie scraps.
Yeah. They do like cucumbers and they like tomatoes, but they
The
don't.
classics.
No carrots, no celery, no lettuce. I think they would eat it if I shredded it, but that's
Oh, they are princesses.
it's a lot of work on my part. Yeah, and we have a rooster, and he's like maybe 2.5 pounds. He's adorable. He's a little bantam, and I love him to death. But yeah, I mean chickens, and they're fun. Like they're so fun to watch.
Endlessly fascinating. The mind of a chicken is a strange and terrible thing. I love the way they are they're so different than mammals. I think is what's really interesting because with a dog or a cat or even a horse or a goat, you can really project feelings onto them and see that reflected in you. You cannot do that with chicken.
Right.
They've got their own way, and they are the dumbest creatures living, in my opinion. They are.
Yes.
They are not smart animals. They've got their weird little chicken intelligence, and it gets them through the day. But as a 5-pound flightless meat football, I guess it's working for them.
Right? I know. I just love when they run on their 2 little feet and their fat bodies, and they're just like waddling. Or when they do like worms. There's a lady
like worms. That's good.
There's a lady in Maine that breeds mealworms, and she'll like sell them whole, like alive. And she'll ship them to me when the weather is good. And oh my gosh, they know the jar that they sit in.
Oh yeah, our chickens they know the snack bowl. We have a little silver bowl with a pink lid that's their snack, and they're just like, we are only interested in the bowl. Yes. Please come to us with bowl. Here's my thing: we don't have a rooster, right? And so I think our chickens think that me and my spouse are roosters, because the chicken I think only recognize like a couple of different forms of life, right? So they recognize hens and roosters and predators and prey. And we're not hens. They can tell we're not hens. We're not prey. We don't seem to be predators. Therefore, we are their roosters. And so when we do the things a rooster do. We provide shelter, we bring snacks, and when they present, we pat them on the back and they walk away satisfied. So
all they need. Yeah, you just don't fit any other category. So
yeah,
therefore
that's all they understand.
That's cool. It's cool. I mean, they know to go to you. That's great. I mean, yeah,
once they got out of the coop at night, and they know we live in like the big coop at the end of the yard. Like they've established that's where we come from. That's where they look for us. But they locked themselves out. They managed to escape, and so it was like after dark. We had only the porch light on, and these 3 little chickens that had gotten stuck out were coming up the back steps, just being like, "Roosters, we can't get inside. It's bedtime. Please let us in now."
Please. We need to roost. Oh man, yeah. Ours come to the door of the house and like ask for treats. I've actually had one knocking on the door, like pecking on the door.
We mostly keep them in the run because we have a lot of garden beds in the backyard. And so they enjoy their time in the fall when they can go pick through and get all the these, and early in the spring, but most of the time they have to stay in the run so that we actually get to eat our vegetables, which is between the chickens and the squirrels,
right?
We would have almost nothing left.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, chickens, you have 4, they have names sort of.
they have a group name.
Yeah. I think that I'm so conflicted on like the intelligence of chickens. We went to a dog training class to learn to do clicker training years ago, and I remember the person that was teaching us, maybe she was lying to our faces, but she said that clicker training was actually tested on chickens because they're so smart. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if you show them the right thing, they will definitely come to that, but it's not like they would be like, oh, well, we've seen a fox over there, so we're not going to go in that direction. They're not that smart. But
yeah, I probably have overstated their idiocy a little bit.
Oh no,
but
they're
they have their
just
own
food
intelligence.
driven.
It's just they're very food driven.
They're just food driven, period.
One of my favorite things is when one of them like leaves the coop and all the others are in there, and it'll like peck around for a minute, be totally chill, and then look around and realize like, oh God, I'm alone. I'd better scream.
Oh my gosh.
They really are endlessly fascinating. Like I'm so happy to have them.
I know.
They're such interesting. And again, I love how they turn leftover food scraps into eggs. That's the coolest thing, especially with the price of eggs these days.
Yes. Our neighbors have a whole bunch of chickens and we have 6. But I mean, it was an unusual winter. I think our chickens are all on the older side. So we have I think we got 2 eggs today, but that's a good day lately.
So yeah, ours I couldn't believe how much ours kept laying over the winter. We expected them to fall off, and that would have been completely fine. They're allowed to take winters off, right? They're chickens, but they're just like, no, I guess we'll just keep laying an egg every day. And so they'll probably be completely spent by the summer, but it makes them happy.
Hey, all right, not arguing with that. We will eat all winter for sure. But so chickens, I think their personalities are hysterical. Like we have ours all have names, and they don't know their names, I'm pretty sure, but they definitely have personalities. Like they're the stronger personalities, and then they're the like lesser on the pecking order. And then they have the different calls, which I think are just adorable. I can tell who's who by when they're talking.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I haven't, I guess, gotten to know mine that well. I get kind of the general like the group calls. So like there's the I'm alone and I'm scared. And there's the it's morning and I'm hungry and I'm a chicken. This is confusing scream. There's the why have we no rooster? Please come see to our needs scream.
There's the I just laid an egg. Everyone notice me.
Oh yeah, the egg scream. I've heard that called the egg song.
Oh, okay.
Which is nicer than it's a scream. They just scream.
It's an announcement at my house, at least. You can tell, like especially in the spring, summer when the windows are open. You know what's happening. But and then there's the alarm. Like, do you live in a suburb, so you probably don't have a lot of predators?
Yeah, we had we that was our assumption going in. So we didn't roof or put a kind of a net over their cage, and there was a neighbor cat, beautiful Bengal who's not leashed or kept inside, who was like, oh goodness, new friends to play with. Caused some serious disruption initially, but then we got them roofed, and they've been much happier since then. So now mostly they yell about the squirrels, who they're not fond of, and otherwise they're in a closed yard, so pretty safe.
Awesome. And so I could talk chickens all day.
Me too. It's so fun to talk about. I love like chicken anecdotes. Yeah, give me your chicken's tails.
Oh my gosh. When people say, Amy, what is your happy place? I'm like, oh man, we have a little yard swing outside, and I'm like, I want to sit on my yard swing, and I want the little dandelions growing in, and just the chickens poking around. That sounds pretty peaceful and nice. Fantastic. That's my happy place.
Mine's the kitchen at harvest time. I just absolutely love like canning and putting up season. So man, there's something about like a huge pile of produce that just calms an area of my soul, like nothing else does.
It's very satisfying. For sure. I mean, I've said to a few people, like because for me, sustainability, like initially I wanted to be a homesteader, and I just I keep getting this, not pushback, but there are a lot of homesteaders that are very like exclusive. Like if you're not doing exactly this, you're not technically a homesteader, and you're supposed to be super independent, and you don't need, you're like cut off from the world, and you're totally okay. But then like for me, it's more a community thing. Like I have a Post-it note right on the wall behind me, and that says community sufficiency. So not necessarily like self-sufficient, but community sufficiency, like taking care of each other, trading with each other. And I think of tomato season, and as satisfying as it is to do tomatoes, doing tomatoes with somebody else is a game changer. Like
true enough.
Cutting all those little slits and peeling all the tomatoes and washing them all and blanching them all. And then like, it is not hard. It's just really long.
A lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I know I'm with you on the community, and I'm also with you on like, I have no patience for those super exclusive type of home centers. Like, you know what I freaking love is electricity and indoor plumbing.
Heck
And as
yeah.
long as possible, I would like to have those things in my life. Likewise, internet. Like, I don't.
Right?
But
Yeah.
also the thought of like building like a little intentional community, and
Yes.
being able to produce more of what you consume. There's no bad there.
Right.
You don't have to be like super hardcore out in the middle of the nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and I know that personally I can't do all the things. Like
Yeah.
I should not be trusted with power tools. I'm not that creative in a lot of ways, and I'm not that handy. And so if there's somebody like in my area, if I make friends with somebody that is a carpenter,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, sorry, I can do this myself. It won't look good and it might not work, but I want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, it's like when you start and you meet people, it's like we're now finding like who would you like to survive the apocalypse with? That's
Yes.
what dating is, especially these days, right? Like who do you want to be in your post-apocalyptic community? It's just like, well, I've got vegetable growing and food. We can get someone I've got a buddy who does cabinetry. I've got friends who are better at animal husbandry.
100%.
All this great stuff. These are all really important skills. Because someone who can tell stories, someone who has a basic idea of human psychology and how people respond to stress, also very useful as a member of community.
Yes. Yes. And in that same like vein, like you were saying that you do a lot of um like mending, which is so unheard it's not unheard of, but it is so not common these days. Like,
and I should clarify that with honesty, I say my spouse does a lot of mending for our household. They're a wonderful tailor and sewer. And so kind of like we've got like our pants, I'll go on into a like a rotation. So now I get a pair of jeans, and I don't know if you have this problem. My thighs chew through jeans in like a year. That's all you get out of them. Doesn't matter how much money you spend on them, your thighs are going to chew through them. But now we have a patching system. So after the first time the jean wears through, we patch the insides. And then they become the next year's work pants. And we get another 2 years. After the year of work pants, it becomes like craft pants. So like for painting or pottery or something like that. And that has really extended the life of these items that we've been able to use, which I'm delighted by.
So you've got my attention. So you use an old pair of jeans to patch a new pair of jeans, or another pair of jeans.
Or any kind of like comfortable fabric, basically, as long as they don't need to like be nice for going out pants anymore.
Right.
So just wear around the house or wear in the garden pants. And like, we need a lot of work pants.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I'm like right behind me, I've got my sewing machine, which I'm scared of. I am not a mender person, but I want to. And I like, same with me with the thighs. Everything else is in perfect condition, but the thighs burn out so fast.
So irritating.
And then I'm also apparently super hard on socks. I only wear socks from like October to April, but they don't even last that long. So they get the little holes in the ankles or hole in the heel, or I just blew a hole in my toe. I haven't even had these 2 months, but so I'm like, I am going to cut those up and I'm gonna use them as patches. But
nice.
I got one patch on one pair of jeans, but I have like 4 pair of jeans that I now need to patch. I'm down to one good pair of jeans. But I broke the sewing machine, or like that's stuck, and it kept. I have to get someone who knows what they're doing, another community person.
You can get sewing machines refurbished. I found out a couple of years ago.
Like I think it's probably operator error. Like I'm just doing it wrong, because I'm not that person, but I want to be, and I wanted to try. I was like, it's just a straight line. How can I mess that up?
Oh man, I feel like sewing is one of my white whales. Like I there's part of me that believes deep down that I should be able to do it and be good at it and enjoy it. And I just hate it. And I'm not good at it. And I don't have the kind of like, I'm good at details in a lot of other ways, but when it comes down to like the precision and the meticulousness of being able to sew well, I don't have it. It makes me miserable. And yet every couple of years, I'll whip out the sewing machine and be like, I'm going to make a pair of skirt or something. And 2 hours later,
this is the year.
What was I thinking? I hate this. I hate everything about this.
Yes.
So very happily, I'm married to someone who can take on that particular part of our sustainability roles.
I need to get one of those. Yeah, I can do buttons.
Hey, button better than nothing.
Man. But yeah, so that's very cool. So you guys do you do a lot of mending to keep things longer, which is, it's so important, because otherwise you're like throwing things away because it's no long, because there are no thighs. Then you're like, well, now I have to get another pair of pants. But then, we also work from home.
Shopping.
You work from home, I assume.
I do work from home, yeah.
Anyone only sees you from above the waist.
Yeah, I do try to wear, the term I learned over the course of the pandemic is the best term ever. I do try to wear hard pants during my workday. And then I'll wear soft pants when not on the workday. But yeah, it's they're kind of just trying to extend the life of everything. And we're currently collecting jeans that have passed the point of no return in terms of wearability. Because I saw some really cool rugs at a farmer's market, and they were made with almost like crocheted denim strips. And I'm like, well, that's a cool final resting place for jeans. We can, like put them in our laundry room and cover the cement, or even outside, because they'd be really washable and wear well. Yeah. So like, we're just collecting enough now to start experimenting with it. And it's like, what a great final use for these jeans.
That's awesome. Cool. So you're crocheting strips of old jeans.
Of denim, yeah. We'll see how it works out, but I think it's a fun idea.
Well, and that's also very cool. I mean, you could also talk to your neighbor friends and be like, hey, we're collecting jeans.
We could. I think, well, it kind of comes down to is how many like denim rugs will we be able to actually use?
Yeah, of course. And
I think,
but I wonder how big is this rug that you're planning on?
I'm not sure yet. We haven't actually started yet. Probably we'll start like with bath mat size, or maybe in front of the washer dryer. We'll see how it goes. But it's kind of one of the many list of things to try and see if it works out. I think that comes kind of, we were talking a little bit at the top, the sustainability, what it means. I think for me and for our household, it's very much, trying to minimize your inputs and therefore minimize your outputs in terms of waste,
right.
And try to keep that circle going as long as possible. And just the disposability of things infuriates me. And I hate the prestige that's put on having new things, this new fast things, it's new, that's so cool, good for you, you got the new thing, the luxury things. Like, I would love if we had as much attention or as much celebration on you've kept that going for 10 years. Yeah. You're telling me you've got I was chatting with a business partner, she's got a 60-year-old stove that finally bit the bullet, but like, they kept that thing going for ages. That went out owing nothing. Amazing. Like, that's what I want to celebrate. I want everyone to think it's cool. It's like, oh man, you've made your car run for 20 years. High five.
Yes. Let's do that. Let's
have awards for like making your stuff. Like this sweater. I didn't realize I was wearing this today. This is a 10-year-old sweater. I've been wearing this for over a decade, and it's still holding up really well.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Very cool. Yeah, we're going to start a club or movement or something. Like,
I think there should be something around it. Just kind of like, I think there's so many people who'd be interested in celebrating just, getting the full use out of something and having that be cooler than replacing it with something.
Right.
I feel like the world is ready.
Yeah. I was just talking to someone the other day. We were talking about, and I could not think of the word, the phrase planned obsolescence, like how infuriating it is, but I couldn't think of it. And I was like, I am not going to sleep tonight. But then like an hour later we were walking, I'm like, planned obsolescence. But it's evil. It is evil.
It really is. And also in the last just few years, really, the quality of things that you can buy new has dipped to such a degree. It's distressing to see the quality of everything fade so much.
For sure. I mean, even like talking about denim jeans, like denim is not cotton anymore. It's like this blend of spandex, and because we're all growing, I guess, like stretchy.
I mean, I'm not personally in a position to turn up my nose at a little bit of stretch in my day.
I have this weird thing with jeans though. Like, they like stretch out in the weirdest places, and then I can't hold them up, and I have to keep pulling my pants up, and I'm like, I am too curvy to be having to do that.
I like to say, I'm an excellent cook and a tolerable baker, and I like to think my ass reflects that.
If you can't tell, you're not looking. Yeah, for sure. But you, so you enjoy cooking?
I do. I'm one of those very, very lucky humans for whom cooking is a pleasurable and relaxing activity. So at the end of the day, I'm usually quite delighted to sit down and like a dinner for the household. And baking's been a hobby for a long time. I was a pie maker before I was in marketing. So I've been in food and food adjacent careers and community for a long time.
Maker.
Like I was a professional pie maker.
Oh,
I worked in a bakery.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your secret to your pie crust? Can you say?
It's sure. Yeah, it's vodka.
For real?
For real.
Wait, what? I thought it was like flour and butter and water.
Yes, yeah, and so like, I mean, getting the ratio of your flour and your fat to your water, of course, is really important. So it's 3 parts flour, 2 parts fat, 1 part water. But within that water, if you add a little bit of chilled vodka, it prevents the flour proteins from glutenizing as much, and so it's flakier. And a little bit of apple cider vinegar, if you pop that in there, it makes the crust more tender. So those are my 2 pie dough tricks.
Whoa.
Same quantity of liquid, but just make some of it vodka.
Can you see my head exploding? I think. Wow. I can make a pretty good pie crust, but I cannot roll it out pretty. My pies are not pretty, but they taste good.
That's what really matters with a pie.
Well, not if you're working for a pie place, which I am not.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
For years, I thought I could never ever recreate, because the pie dough recipe at the place I worked at was epic, and I think part of it was the type of fat. They had access to this like amazing industrial shortening that you just can't buy commercially, and so I thought for years I'd never be able to replicate anything nearly as good. And I'd still say it's not like quite as good as that, but I'm pretty good with pie crust.
Nice. What's your favorite pie?
Oh gosh, could I any sooner choose a favorite star in the heavens?
All right.
Probably a classic strawberry rhubarb.
Okay.
Yeah, I do love a strawberry rhubarb. I like apple. Can't go wrong with an apple pie. Oh, you must come visit. I
must.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It was on my list. We were supposed to go in 2020, and then there was a pandemic.
Yeah, that cut short a lot of travel plans.
The border was closed, but my family lineage is from the Quebec area. So,
oh, cool! Yeah,
I know. So someday I need to go.
Were you like descended from the voyageurs and la fille de roi?
I don't think so. No. I don't think so. No, my dad's family was Kilbride, but I think they were Prince Edward Island, and then my mom's dad was a Bulldog, and so they were like
Bulldog, yeah.
Quebec, yeah.
That's a very French name.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I definitely need to go. I will. Oh, yeah. I will let you know.
Please do. Yeah, we can tour around, and so my part of my family's from out east on the Canada side as well, in New Brunswick rather than PEI, and then nice. My some of my family settled in the Ottawa area, right around here in Gatineau.
Nice, very cool. So let's see. So Megan, and my aunt's last name is Dougherty. My aunt's husband's name is Dougherty. So I know exactly how to say your name.
Oh, that's such a treat. I live in French Canada, right? So I'm really used to answering to Dougherty. So
Dougherty? Yeah, for sure.
But you should know that there's a big Dougherty reunion happening in Ireland this summer.
Wow.
Yeah. So just for anyone descended from the clan 𝗚𝗿𝗿𝗀𝗃 from years ago, they're doing a big thing up in Ireland. I think it's really cool.
I'll mention that. That's interesting. But so when I know that you touched on the word sustainability and what that means to you, but so what can you just say that again? Like what that you were saying about input and output?
Yeah, I guess for me, sustainability really just means, being aware of what you're taking out, what you're extracting from the world, and trying to minimize that as much as possible, and then getting as much use as possible out of everything that you do have to extract from the world, so that you are discarding or wasting as little as possible. Because there's always a cost to everything. Even the most sustainable environmentally friendly choices in the world, there's still a cost that somebody or something has to pay. So making sure that we're keeping that number as low as possible, I think, is just being a good human citizen.
Right. That's beautifully put, for sure. And that's it. Like, just be, and it's not necessarily like, this is my policy, but it's like, be mindful of what you're doing, not necessarily don't do this and don't do this and do
exactly,
this.
Yeah. Some people have different needs, in terms of like, accessibility needs or needs that you have for certain things, or for things to be a certain way. And all of those are completely legitimate. But I think, within your own power and within, what you need to have a good, comfortable and dignified life, being mindful of making the best choices that you can, I think is the way to go.
I love that. Very cool. And then, so tell us a little bit about One Stone Creative, because I'm going to ask you next, and your podcast. My goodness. So my next question is going to be, how can people find you? But why would they want to find you?
Well, unfortunately, and you will not hear very much in the way of chicken talk on my podcast or within my company. It is quite divergent. So One Stone Creative is a podcast production agency, and we do focus mainly on business podcasts. So if you've got a business and you're thinking, could a podcast help me, make more money, get more reputation, get more clients, my company can help you figure out, one, will it? And then two, we can produce it for you. So it started in 2017 when my wonderful business partner, 𝗙𝗵𝗀 𝗂𝘁, called me up out of the blue. We used to work together. And she said, hey, you want to start a business together? And I said, okay, with you, sounds great. And my background was in marketing. She was a broadcast audio producer. So we started creating business podcasts. And we're all it can all be found at onestonecreative.net, including our own podcast, the business podcast Blueprint Show, which I do host. And we just talk about kind of the realities, strategies, and opportunities of podcasting for your business.
Cool. And I was just telling you that I was listening to your most recent one of your more recent episodes with Jason Cerrone about hospitality with podcasting, which is, it sounds so simple. I mean, it's not like a difficult thing to grasp, but it's, there's so many things that a podcast host is dealing with, like making sure the questions are asked and making sure blah, blah, blah. But then, he was talking about, like, if your podcast guest has a podcast, like, listen to their podcast, have something to talk about with them, like know who they are. And
the one he said that blew my mind. I mean, like, I'm no newbie to the podcasting industry at this point, but when we were chatting, and he's like, if someone is a guest on your show, and then, in 3 to 6 weeks when you're publishing the episode, have you engaged with them at all in the meantime? It's just like, well, that's a darn good question that maybe I should build into my workflows a little more effectively.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned this before you hit record, right? Is that one of the best things about podcasting? And I think this is true if you're doing it as a business, for your business, as a passion project. Getting to know and learn from all of these other amazing, interesting people is like the best part of it. I did not want to podcast. I don't love hosting a podcast. It's not my particular passion. I like being on the back end of things. But boy, the relationships, the people I've gotten to know from it have made it so abundantly worthwhile.
Yeah. I'm kind of addicted. Like, I feel like it's like a rush. Like, who can I talk to next? And what can I learn next from somebody?
It's a good way to describe it. I kind of feel like I really preloaded my content calendar for the podcast this year. So I got the entire season done, by the end of January. And so like, well, I haven't talked to anybody now in weeks.
Oh.
So there's something to be said for a more week to week or month to month schedule.
Yeah, I'm new to the batching thing. And batching for me, I'm new to podcasting, period. But like, for the longest time, I was just doing it like one episode a week and literally like recording that, and then within a couple of days editing and publishing and whatever. And I was scrambling. And so now I'm doing it a lot. I've got, like, this will come out, I think maybe the first week of April, something like that.
Awesome.
But which I'm
really,
nice,
comfortable runway.
I'm really proud of, because I haven't had that. But
great.
I've been like 2-3 episodes sometimes in a week, and I'm like, it's a good groove for me. Like, I'm keeping in the communication and in the zone, and I'm not scrambling, which is amazing.
Well, it's so good. And it means, like, if you ever wanted to do something completely bananas, like take a vacation, or a week off, or this is the big one I'm planning for this year, not be recording during planting season. Like being able to schedule, plan
Yep.
for those different things is really, really nice. And you can only do that by batching and having a runway.
Right. For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's something to think about. I have not thought that far ahead because I also have a jam business.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I mean, I love making jams and eating jams. It's so exciting that you're doing that.
Oh, but I pick all the strawberries and I do it before work. Like I have a full-time job, and so I go from like 7 to 7:30 in the morning to pick the berries, and then after work I'm cleaning the berries and freezing the berries, and that's my, and then so when it comes to gardening and stuff, I'm like what? And so I don't really make jam in the summer because I need to do other things. The first year I was doing it all and not gardening, and it was a bummer. But so I'm in year 3 of jam, and I'm starting to get the groove a little bit. I think
that's good.
We'll see.
Well, there's a whole cyclical nature to the year, right? Like I made some big mistakes in the last couple of years because this is we only bought our house a little while ago. This is the first time I've had like a substantial garden, and like a fool, I decided to go to a conference and then on a trip to visit some friends, like right in the middle of planting these. Like, what was I thinking? Like, I have this, like all these lifestyle considerations now that I've got to fit work and business stuff around. And the balance can be tricky because everyone likes to throw their conferences in May. I don't know what's up with May, but this is the worst time to travel.
Well, especially on the East Coast when it's just starting to warm up. But yeah,
I've got sprouts that need to be hardened,
right? Well, and then like September, October, like no, I cannot go. Like those tomatoes and the peppers and everything, like everything is coming out. Like I cannot leave. Everything's going to be bad by the time I get back, for sure. But and so you said onestonecreative.net.
Yeah, onestonecreative.net. It's ONE spelled out, so onestonecreative.net. And if you any contact form on the site goes to my inbox, and I'd be delighted to talk to you about podcasting or chickens.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Megan. This has been so fun. It's been really fun. And I love that you're like kind of a sort of a big name in the podcasting world, at least. And you're like, I want to talk about chickens.
You're very kind to say big name, but hopefully well regarded by those we work with, at least.
My podcasting friends, I'm like, I am talking to One Stove Creative. How about me? But it's been so fun, and I've only attended one little workshop with you, so it's really nice to actually get to know you a little bit better. And
yeah, absolutely marvelous. And the workshops, I'm so glad you attended. It makes me so happy that you were able to come and get some value out of it. These are just free strategy and networking calls that we host on the third Thursday of every month. So if you are feeling a little, we call it pod curious, you're more than welcome to drop by and just learn from some other podcasters.
Right, and you are on LinkedIn, so people can find you on LinkedIn, and you're Megan Dougherty, right? Not One Stone Creative, or is it both? Yeah.
There is a page for One Stone Creative that has very little traction, so we don't do very much on. Mostly I'm just interacting there under my name, cool. Megan Dougherty.
All right, very cool. So people can find you there and then follow, and that's where I learned about the workshop. So very cool. All right, well, I know it's about dinner time for everyone, and you're going to be preparing something. So thank you again so much. And taco night! Oh my gosh, don't be late. Thank you so much.
I'm the one who cooks, so I'm never late. But thank you too. This has been an absolute treat. What a pleasure.
Awesome. I'll be in touch soon.
Perfect. Bye-bye.
Thanks.